Flexibility from Bourbon Boy on the outside, who's coming at the leader now. Iola goes up 5 deep in the small field on the swing into the straight as Bourbon Boy slips to the lead now from Flexibility. Then a couple of lengths away came Iola, not doing enough at the moment. Bourbon Boy clear at the 200-metre mark from Sandy Harbour. Now Iola is starting to run on fairly well. Bourbon Boy grabbed by Sandy Harbour. Sandy Harbour bumps with Bourbon Boy. There's not much between them. Bourbon Boy kicks again. Sandy Harbour, Bourbon Boy. Bourbon Boy's won it. Bourbon Boy's won from Sandy Harbour. Probably would have got it on a protest anyway. Iola third, and they were followed further back in the field behind those by Flexibility. Then came on the inside Time and Space, followed behind those then by Rough Harmony, and Escapade was last.
Probably just bobbed up on the rails and won this Bourbon Boy. It was a pretty good run. Its last start, it's from England, this horse, and its last start was in a race over 4,000 metres, I understand. Bravo. On the inside, King Delamere, Eastern Bay away well, but Street Cafe flew from the stalls like a greyhound and was 2 in front and crossed to the rails as they settled down. Mr. Ironclad out wide with King Phoenix and El Dwayne racing up towards the lead when they settled down. Red Anchor's about 5th, one off the fence, and Labrici trapped about 3 wide behind him. Out of the straight they go now, and Street Cafe a length to Oxbury Way and El Dwayne, a length and a half Mr. Ironclad, half a length Red Anchor getting in on the fence, 3 deep King Phoenix, 1.5 Eastern Bay and Lord Camelot. Labrici trapped 3 deep from King Delamere. Then, it's hanging Labrici. They're followed by, at the head of the others, Riverdale. Next, Kiwi Slave, a length and a half Beechcraft, and last of all is Admiral Lincoln. 1,300 out at this corner, and Street Cafe bowling along a length to El Dwayne, a half Oxbury Way, a length. Then further back came Mr. Ironclad, Red Anchor and King Phoenix 3 deep. Lord Camelot is in that bunch of horses and getting up along the inside of them, Eastern Bay. King Delamere eased 1 off the fence now, and a length and a half Riverdale. Labrici's never been on the track from Kiwi Slave, a half to Beechcraft and 2 to Admiral Lincoln. 900 to go. Street Cafe bowling along a length to El Dwayne, 3 parts Oxbury Way. King Phoenix now up third. They're followed by Lord Camelot wide, but making ground from Mr. Ironclad. Wonder Red Anchor now being sent forward from Eastern Bay, King Delamere. Labrici's covered a ton of ground next from, at the head of the others, Riverdale, and Beechcraft called on for his run from Kiwi Slave. As they came up by the 600 and a Street Cafe, about a length to Lord Camelot. El Dwayne's gone. In the centre there, battling on is King Phoenix and Red Anchor, around the outside of them from Mr. Ironclad, King Delamere, and then further back Labrici, Riverdale. But Street Cafe, Clements kicked it away a length and a half on the corner. Red Anchor's out after it from Lord Camelot. The 3-year-olds are clear. Red Anchor raced up the Street Cafe from Lord of Camelot and then King Delamere. Red Anchor took the lead, 100 to go from Street Cafe, battling back, and then Lord of Camelot. But the mighty Red Anchor's coming away to win the Cox Plate. Scores by a length from Street Cafe, 2 lengths to King Delamere third, ahead to Lord of Camelot fourth from Riverdale.
He was a good horse, wasn't he, Red Anchor? No doubt about that, winning that 84 Cox Plate. Now runners in the mounting yard. Let's.
So they're ready to go. 1,000 metres, stand by for a start. Lights on. Set and racing. Solar Princess began fairly on the outside. Beginning quickly is June Eye, and going out fast towards the middle, Mrs. Soffel. Sausalito Cell going very quickly. Sausalito Cell went up to join Mrs. Soffel in the front. Emerald Clouds behind them, followed by June Eye, My Abbey, and then Solar Princess going forward stylishly. Passionate Queen the rails from Hidden Power, and they're followed then by Blazing Memories, Double Match. They're followed a little further back in the field then as they swept towards the 600 by Eloquent Edition. Going forward over on the outside of these horses into a prominent placing. And getting a check there when they came to the turn was Blazing Memories. And well back Neo Classic, a mile from them when they swing around the home turn. And Sausalito Cell, Emerald Clouds together from Mrs. Soffel, and Solar Princess comes 4 wide when they swing around the turn. Solar Princess has hit the front as soon as they straighten up. Kicked away now. Hidden Power's finishing quickly on the outside. But this is going to bolt in Solar Princess. Kept going in the run of the line. Solar Princess at length and a half Hidden Power. Mrs. Soffel third, then My Abbey. Sausalito Cell tired, and next in was Double Match. They were followed Emerald Clouds, and then came Champagne, followed by Heckamar Star back there with Blazing Memories. Well back in the field is Camelina, and they're followed by Solar Flame, and then Neo Classic, Passionate Queen, and June Eye last. Won easily. Number 1, Solar Princess, ridden by Len Morn, was first, won in a canter. Second, number 2, Hidden Power, ridden by Greg Hall. Third, number 3, Mrs. Soffel, ridden by N. Weymouth. Time 60.5. Well, it won very easily, ran a 1/10 of a second faster than the Colton Geldings. Lord Tiamo winning the first. 60.5 there, returned by Solar Princess. Could have...
Sovag 840, 285. Shankill Lass 260, $1.05. Reputed 405, 140. Aiming 665, 215. Keepers 335, $1.05. Black Arrow 450. Carlisle Ben 520. Deedle 920. Federalism 475. Not finished yet because range in the betting at 10.30, 295. Persian World 42.80. Splendid Speed 23.25. Illustrious 8.15. 115,000 the win pool as we take this break from our special grandstand at the Valley.
We'll join our caller, Ian Craig.
Ready to run. LA Streak on the inside. Previous race, Northern Fine won. Racing, and a beautiful jump. Hard to pick an early leader. Now the grey Misty Crony spears through to lead about 1/2 to 3/4 of a length or so on Decimal Currency, who's 3 deep. Francet one off the rails, 3rd a length. The Swinging Way, or Dismissal copped a bad check, went down on its nose. LA Streak Racing 4th last from Lady of Sky, Prince Arthur and Dismissal, who copped that nasty check as last. Coming onto the course proper, Misty Crony keen to go. 1.5 lengths Decimal Currency, 3rd Francet, 1.5 lengths Swinging Way. LA Streak snookered, followed then by Prince Arthur and Lady of Sky, and Absolute as Dismissal. Past the 600, no change in the order, and Misty Crony by 1.25 lengths. Holding 2nd Decimal Currency. Francet waiting for the run. 2-2 Swinging Way, then Prince Arthur taken to the outside. LA Streak is still snookered. Lady of Sky 2nd last. Dismissal whips them in. Straightening inside the 400 metres. Misty Crony allowed rain in front. Prince Arthur starting to dash down the centre. Francet into the open now, and LA Streak is getting clear. Carmody first to go for the whip on Prince Arthur. It's not travelling all that well, and Misty Crony still leads. Francet trying a hard out, 2 lengths to Misty on the outside, Prince Arthur, but Misty Crony in front. Oh, Francet lunged on the line. Won't be much between Misty Crony and Francet, and with the rail out, this angle is pretty notorious, so hang on to your tickets on the 2 of them. It's pretty close. Now for 3rd, we've got LA Streak and Prince Arthur, followed by, on the outside next, Dismissal, and then came Decimal Currency, Swinging Way, and tailed off Lady of Sky.
Well, gosh, I don't blame Ian Craig for saying hang on to your tickets, because there is absolutely nothing in this. It seemed that Misty Crony had the race won, but that's Francet number 2, grabbing it right on the line. Photo, and I think we'll leave it to the judges. Very close for 3rd also. 1 Prince Arthur and 3 LA Streak in that photo for 3rd for Trifecta backers. In the meantime, people were more generous. 2 Hidden Power, 1.65, and 3 Mrs. Safel, $1.10. The Quinella 1 and 2 paid $7.70, and in racebook order 1, 2, 3, the Trifecta paid $43.55.
Race better than we're having here at Moonee Valley at the moment, but hopefully the rain will clear. As I said, this race, the Dulcify Handicap, 1,000 metres is the journey, and Colin Hayes training Tears for Fears, certainly beautifully bred. It's by Biscay out of Seagull. D Tootle takes the ride, and the Chestnut filly will carry Colin Hayes' colours of red with white armbands and a blue cap. So it won't be long before we take you to Ron Paps, and very shortly we'll be joining hopefully Lenny Morn, the winning rider, after the running of the 3rd event on the card here at Moonee Valley after an impressive win aboard Solar Princess, defeating Hidden Power and Mrs. Soffel. It was, as the handicapper saw them in the 3rd, numbers 1, 2 and 3. And of course the next race here at Moonee Valley, race 4, is the first leg of the quadrilla. Well, I think our commentator Ron Paps is just about ready for us now. Let's take you live to Adelaide for the running of the 3rd event on the card. But just as we say that, 1 or 2 of them just backing out of line. So taking a little while to get the babies in. Speaking of the babies, here at Moonee Valley we've had a couple of 2-year-old races, with Lord Tiamo taking out the first, number 2 from Ma Wong, who may have appeared just a little unlucky in that may have been pushed out coming around the home turn, but I spoke to Gary Willits after the race, and he said it was more greenness than anything that cost Ma Wong the race, and there was only about a half head in that, and Above Deck was 3rd. The numbers were 2, 1 and 3 in the first, so the 3 top weights have taken the placings in the 2 2-year-old races, and of course sandwiched in between them was the Crown Lager Stakes race 2, which went to Glowing Idol, ridden by Craig Dinn. Eloquent Edition, Kevin Forrester was 2nd, and Round the World, Johnny Marshall was 3rd. So Jeff Murphy would certainly be hoping for a change of luck, because he was beaten by inches in the first and again in the 2nd race on the card. And of course Jeff has Tristram engaged in the WS Cox Plate today. Speaking of the Cox Plate, we might take a look at the approximate dividends for the big one today, and we see the Filbert on $13.85 and $3.10. Bone Crusher $1.40 and $1.25 for the place. Amazing, 6-4 for the place. Our Waverley Star's got out to incredible odds, $4.25 and $1.55, so it's between 7 and 8 to 1. Drawn on $4.10 as the second favourite, $1.05 the place. Good odds about Roman Artist, Dinky Flyer and Mar Chiquita. Drought $4.65 and $1.20. He's had no luck at his last couple. Again, good odds about Imprimatur and Aberidi, the Caulfield Guineas winner. And the other runners in the field, Tristram on $3.45 is in actual fact the second favourite and 90 cents a place. Dandy Andy $14.45 and Society Bay has now got into second favourite, so it's on $3.25. So there's certainly a fair bit of money about, but Bone Crusher the favourite, $125,000 already in the win pool for the WS Cox Plate. Well, things taking shape in Adelaide for the start of this, the third race on the program. I mentioned Jeff Murphy before with Tristram. Of course, it was 10 years ago to the day when Jeff Murphy trained Surround to victory here in the WS Cox Plate in 1976, and what a great filly she was. And in fact, she was the second last 3-year-old to take out the Cox Plate. Red Anchor successful in '84. Well, I think they're just about set for us now. Ron Papsch, your commentator in Adelaide for the running of the third, the Dulcify Handicap.
Just waiting for a signal prior to the Dulcify Handicap. Now, Quick Prayer giving trouble in 11. The attendant wrestles it down. Stands up better now. Started giving them every possible chance. Light flashing, and they jumped this time, and one of the slowest to begin was back in the field, Fashon away quickly, out wide Don Cossack, court side Quick Prayer. Going fast was a Vic, and so to Allura. Now driving through to head them all is Sweet Chariot. Sweet Chariot on the rail, just the leader from Was a Vic and also Allura. Quick Prayer's there too, and they were followed just in behind them now as they run along the side towards the turn into the straight of the 600 by Destiny Way driving into the action. Then Vaguely Consul, Classic Comment, followed by Really Dazzling, a Real Dazzler. Then further back in the field came Courtside, followed then by Tears for Fears, and then came Don Cossack, followed further back in the field by Papo. Then Fashon, followed further back by Gadabout, and they were followed by Aventos, and last of all back there with them Tears is well back to Tears for Fears, but coming inside the 200-metre mark, and the leaders going pretty powerfully. It's Sweet Chariot by 2 or 3 in front. In fact, it's going to run them ragged. This newcomer, this filly by Amen Brother, she's going to make them look very ordinary, and she went to the line, eased down very, very greenly and won by about 4. Second placing was Destiny Way. Third's pretty tight. Vaguely Consul the inside, Allura, all there together. Courtside made ground, and so too in that division was Real Dazzler. Further back behind those Quick Prayer, they were followed then back behind them by Papo. Then came Was a Vic pulling up quickly. Don Cossack was in the middle pin division. They were followed then by Fashon, well back behind horses out Tristino and Aventos towards the tail of the field. And so too was Gadabout.
Well, a very easy.
Now, Black Arrow, Shankill Lass and Range. Shankill Lass is to run the favourite, and she's around about 13-2 with the bookies on the tote, $2.80 and $1.15. So Putters having a lot of trouble working out the race. Many, many chances in it. Black Arrow coming up into the line now is set. Shankill Lass is right. Range the last one to go in on the outside of the 14 runners. They're set. Ready to go. 1600. Lights on. Racing. Federalism a little slow to move. He bumped the side of the stalls, and Sauvage, Shankill Lass back towards the tail end. Splendid Speed, one of the first out. Keepers going quickly. Persian World and Reputed up there early with Range and Deedle just behind them. Aiming dropped onto the fence. Running up towards the first turn, and it's a very well bunched field now as they went towards that 1200 bend. And the leader Keepers on the inside from Reputed, and Range made a line of 3. Wonder Splendid Speed fourth, and they're followed then by Deedle, Persian World, and then Black Arrow caught wide. Federalism in the centre, and back on the inside, Aiming Riverdale 3 deep. Not much pace on at the 1,000. One away to Carlisle Bend. Shankill Lass over on the outside. 3 wide from Illustrious and So Vague. Running up to the 800 turn now, and Reputed and Keeper still the two leaders. A length off third is Range in there, followed then by Splendid Speed. It's in the centre and Deedle on the rails from Persian World, and Black Arrow's never been on the track. Then Federalism won from the fence with Shankulas going around it, and then Riverdale So Vague taking off. Aiming shuffled back on the inside from Illustrious and Carlisle Ben. At the 500 metre mark, Reputed and Keeper still the leaders. A length to Splendid Speed and Range, and then Persian World. Deedle getting up on the inside from So Vague, Black Arrow. Riverdale is next, and then Federalism hard ridden. Shankulas last on the turn with Carlisle Ben. Into the straight, Reputed took over the running. Splendid Speed tackling, Keeper's beaten. Then to the outside, Deedle running on from Persian World. So Vague aiming in Federalism, but Splendid Speed shot away with about 30 metres to go, holding Reputed, Deedle and Federalism, then aiming. Splendid Speed is going to win it. Splendid Speed 2 to Reputed, Deedle third, aiming fourth, and then Federalism, followed by Persian World and Range. Next to finish, Carlisle Ben with Keepers, and then came Persian World with Illustrious. Riverdale a mile back. Shankulas is third last from Black Arrow and So Vague. The winner is number 12, number 13, Splendid Speed, ridden by John Marshall. Number 13, Splendid Speed. John Marshall was first, always in a prominent place. Second placing's got a number 4, Reputed, ridden by Darren Gauci, led into the straight and was run down. And third's gone to 9, Deedle, ridden by Craig Dinn. So that one floors punters. The winner will pay $14.10 and $4.35. Reputed will pay about $1.55, and Deedle about $2.15.
So far, Reputed second, $1.55. Deedle third, $2.15. The Quinella paid $98.15. $98.15 the Quinella. The extra double, 6 and 13, paid $297.90. $297.90 for 6 and 13 in the TAB double, or the extra double I should say, TAB extra double, and the trifecta is yet to come, and that trifecta will be a pretty good one. Filbert $13.85, $3.10. Bone Crusher $1.40 and $1.25. Our Waverley Star $4.25, $1.55. Drawn $4.10, $1.05. Roman Artist $37.65, $8.45. Dinky Flyer $27.45, $6.05. Marchiquita $24.10 and $5.55. Drought $4.65, $1.20. Imprimatur $20.20, good eyesight, and $4.75 a place. Aberidi $15 and $3.60. 11 Tristram $3.45 and $90. Dandy Andy $14.45 and $2.80. And Society Bay $3.25 and $80. Win pool $125,000. Place pool almost $90,000 on the big one of the day, the W.S. Cox Plate. What do Keith, Jenny and Ryan think about it? Let's find out.
You know, some things happen in racing that amaze you, and one of them has happened with the tote betting here. Waverley Star, who has had so much publicity, along with Bone Crusher, has opened on the tote at 7.5 to 1. I can't believe it. Can you, Jenny?
Not at all. That's a great bet, actually, if you want to have something on.
Has that tempted you to change your thoughts?
Well, actually, I was going to go for our Waverley Star this morning, but I'm not going to now. I'm going to stick with Bone Crusher because I've seen him. I've been very, very impressed with him, and I think he can win. I'm not taking anything away from our Waverley Star because all the good New Zealand judges, they do think he can beat this horse. So it's going to be a great race.
So a New Zealand Quinella for you?
For sure, I would say so anyway. And I'll put in Tristram, Jeff Murphy trained Tristram, because Gary Willetts has wasted very hard to ride at 48.5, and he's a good colt.
It's Bone Crusher from Jenny. What from Roy?
Well, the better the price, the more you win, Keith. I'm, you know, naturally we'll all be smart after the race, I suppose, one way or the other, but I'm taking the odds. I'm going to go with my Waverley Star. I like his work here. He's a beautiful horse. We know Bone Crusher's great. Just let's hope both horses get an even run in the race, and let's see which one really is the best. And the one Jenny mentioned, Tristram, Gary Willetts aboard, very good run the Caulfield Cup, no weight on his back for a 3-year-old. He'll run a big race.
Well, I think that Bone Crusher will win the Cox Plate. He has done nothing wrong since he came to Melbourne. He's had 8 starts at 2,000 metres or beyond, and he's won them all. The second, I've put in Our Waverley Star. I think those tote odds will trim right in because, to me, it's a match race. Surprisingly, both Drawn, who is a Sydney galloper, and Society Bay, a New Zealand filly, have opened shorter on the tote than Our Waverley Star, the great champion from New Zealand. 2 and 3, My Quinella in the Cox Plate. We'll take a commercial break and then back to have a more in-depth look at this famous race.
And a good result for the bookmakers. Splendid Speed, $14.10 and $4.35. Second, Reputed, $1.55. Third, Deedle, $2.15. The Quinella, $98.15. And the trifecta, $2,516.25.
Today's racing telecast is another Carlton sporting coverage.
Go for the greatness.
Race 4 in Sydney this afternoon is the 1986 Diners Club Silver Slipper Stakes. It's over 1,100 metres and a very good field with Mays K, the top weight, considered to be the one to beat. It's white with a purple star and hoop sleeves. And the starter is about to go around to the rostrum as they move into the stalls well for the running of race 4 in Sydney. And let's go now to our commentator, Ian Craig.
Wade Kembler.
Line stands a bit better. No, Wangaratta still to hold up and unsettling Lily Antoinette. Racing in the Silver Slipper, Mays K dwelt marginally on the inside but has the speed to go through and ahead off Lily Antoinette. Special Finish and Judy Ann prominent with Marauding. Dream Faith hunting around them, followed by Y Lodge and Regiment, then Red Express and Golden Drake, followed by Wangaratta, Mnemonic, Empire State second last, and Mighty Willem trails. Down the side, 700 to go, and the favourite Mays K leads nicely. A length and a half, Judy Ann. Dream Faith third on the outside, 1.5 Special Finish inside Marauding. 2.5 lengths to Y Lodge and then Regiment, followed by Lily Antoinette. A length the Red Express, Wangaratta, followed by Golden Drake, Mnemonic, Mighty Willem, and Empire State is last. Around the corner they come, and the leader is Mays K. Second, Judy Ann. Wide out, Dream Faith. Special Finish, the rails, and further back comes Regiment at the 300 metres. Marty shaking up Mays K and gives the favourite a couple of slaps with the whip. In fact, more than a couple. It responds. 2 length Special Finish. Marauding on the outside, running a great race, and then Lily Antoinette. Mays K flat as a strap. Marauding on the outside, finishing quickly. Mays K is hanging on. Just the leader from Marauding. Looks to have just won Mays K. But by golly, Marauding's wide out and don't sell him cheaply, whatever you do. Special Finish up there for third with Lily Antoinette, and behind those horses next on the inside came Wangaratta, then Regiment, Mighty Willem, followed home then by Judy Ann. Further back, Y Lodge, Mnemonic, Empire State, Red Express, Golden Drake, and Dream Faith was last of all.
Well, this is a terrific finish to the Silver Slipper Stakes, and it looks as though Mays K, the favourite, has just hung on to win. Marauding has got a tremendous amount of momentum on the outside, but looking at our freeze of the finish of the race, maybe Mays K has just held on to beat Marauding, and Ian Craig had number 12, Special Finish, in third spot. So it's one.
Ariak getting back in the field. Regal Meadow dropped towards the tail. As they work down the side, they're going like the wind. Game Romance, the narrow leader, Prince Travolta. Golden Archie, River Reef, Kanja, then La Poette. They were followed by Indeed a Lady. Tangent's Daughter further back, Montgomery. Ariak to the outside, then Double Time, and they were followed further back in that division too as they come to the turn. Looking for room there between horses, Double Time, and then further back in the field is further back Trauma, and they were followed well back behind them, Regal Meadow. Running to the 200-metre mark, though, Game Romance is plain sailing at the moment, led clearly by about 4 or 5. In fact, it's straight away. Here's Indeed a Lady running home late, but too late. And Game Romance is going to win it, and win it very easily. In second placing, Indeed a Lady. Third, Prince Travolta. Getting out for third, or fourth rather, French Border. Then Ariak. River Reef next, Montgomery, followed by Golden Archie, Double Time. They were followed by Le Poette. Then just in behind those came Kanja, who didn't go on. Well back, Tangent's Daughter, Regal Meadow, Trauma at the tail.
Well, a most impressive win there to the top weight Game Romance, drawing right away from his rivals. Game Romance the winner, second number 11 Indeed a Lady, and third 9 Prince Travolta. 1-11-9, race 4 Adelaide.
In the Wagga area where they're with us, as well as in South Australia, and we can tell you that today we have a mammoth crowd here at Moonee Valley. All parking areas are packed to capacity. They're out on the trotting track, they're on the steeplechase track, and the big race coming up, the Cox Plate, the 65th of the series. And it does look to be a battle between the two New Zealanders who have come across the Tasman to decide at Moonee Valley the champion of Australasia, Bone Crusher and Our Waverley Star. Bone Crusher is now at odds on. He's 10-9 on for the win. Our Waverley Star is round the 3-1 chance. And then you get out to about 10-1. Others engaged in the race, Drought and Tristram and Society Bay. Bone Crusher, a magnificent looking animal, as you can see there. He's had 4 starts in Australia. He's won them all. And today he races to the $1.5 million mark if he can take out the Cox Plate. And more than 50% of the crowd here today say he will. That's drawn with Pat Hyland in the saddle. And that's Our Waverley Star in the yellow and green. There he is, big, lean, typical New Zealand horse, great horse, there's no doubt about that. There he is, Roman Artist, owned by Russell Hens, the Minister for Racing from Queensland. Our Waverley Star, of course, as we know him over here, with the Our or My having to be put in front of their names. So the runners are getting ready, and they're moving into the stalls now for the running of the WS Cox Plate. They're moving up quite well. Bone Crusher has gone into his position, 2,040 metres, a run of only a couple of 100 metres to the first turn. Dandy Andy the inside from the Filbert. Imprimatur, drawn Marchiquita. A little wider out, Drought, Tristram, Bone Crusher. He's been on his toes a little bit, Bone Crusher. Dinky Flyer, Our Waverley Star, Roman Artist, who probably will be one of the pacemakers. We should see a reasonable pace in this race. He's gone in. Society Bay comes up, and Aberrity's going to be the last one in for the WS Cox Plate. Aberrity comes up. They're all ready. Lights on. Roman Artist toey, so is Imprimatur. Settles. This is it, they're racing. Imprimatur away very quickly over near the rails with Society Bay. Drought has begun well also. Now let's have a look where Bone Crusher is back behind them at the rear as they settle down trying to get near the fence, and Our Waverley Star's caught deep. Roman Artist and Dandy Andy took them out of the straight, a length and a half. Imprimatur and Society Bay deep. They were followed then by, in the centre of that bunch, Marchiquita drawn the rails. 2 lengths further back, the Filbert and Drought, a length to Waverley, Our Waverley Star, who's still wide. 2.5 lengths then to Bone Crusher, followed by Dinky Flyer, Aberrity, and last of all, Tristram. At the 1400, Roman Artist, a length and a half in front now from Dandy Andy and Society Bay the outside. A length to Marchiquita and a length and a half drawn, tucked in on the fence from Imprimatur. Our Waverley Star still 3 deep in the race, and on the rails, the Filbert and Drought the centre. 2 lengths to Aberrity, Bone Crusher on its inside, 2 to Dinky Flyer and a length to Tristram. They've got 1100 to go. Roman Artist cutting out a fair pace. Out a length and a half. Society Bay clear second now. On the rails, Dandy Andy and a half length to Marchiquita. 2 lengths to Drawn, having a good run from Imprimatur. Our Waverley Star will want to be far up. Here's Bone Crusher. He's pulled him to the outside, shooting around them, and Our Waverley Star's going with it. Aberrity at the head of the others with Drought, Dinky Flyer, the Filbert and Tristram. Here come the New Zealanders, Our Waverley Star and Bone Crusher. They've raced to the lead, 600 out. Have they gone too early? 2 lengths to Drought, running up the third from Society Bay. They were followed then by Drawn under the whip at the head of the others, Dinky Flyer. But Our Waverley Star, he got a half length to Bone Crusher.